News Talk WSIC and Purple Heart Homes present Putting the Pieces Back Together, a forum for veterans and the community to connect. Here are your hosts, veterans John Galena and Brad Borders.
Happy Thursday morning. Welcome to Putting the Pieces Back Together. I'm John Galena.
Hey, I'm Brad Borders.
We are happy to welcome you into the new year, and what a great show we're going to have today. We got some really special guests, and can't wait to introduce them. And some of them I know.
It's going to be the greatest show that we've ever had.
I think
in the long history of our show. Goes back eons.
I think it is.
Up to 14 listeners now.
Well, while it's 14 listeners, it's in at least 2 countries and soon to be in a third.
That's right, and a third, because that's coming soon, and we'll tell everybody about it.
Yep, that's right. Thanks to our sponsors, Cook's Headers, Welcome Home Vets, Lake Mountain Coffee, and our fellow veteran and friend, Dr. Grant Campbell. Thank you for all your support.
The surgeon. Just be glad you're not under his knife today.
I tell you what, there's a lot of surgeons I'd like to avoid, but if I had to be under surgery, it'd be
I want
Campbell.
him to cut me.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I hear we had a little bit of chatter in our on the fat line.
Yeah, we did. So we've been desperately trying to get people to call the fat line, which is 704-761-8328 or 704-761-8FAT, and I've been begging people to call it. Nobody wants to call it and leave a message, right? I can't get anybody to do it, but we finally had our first caller, and it was such an extraordinary thing that happened. We actually brought him in the studio.
So was this a long distance call collect, or what?
I don't know. I don't think you can call collect anymore. I don't think you have to do that anymore.
That's kind of outdated.
So it was such a shocking thing that happened. We decided to bring him in the studio because he's the first one ever to call. So if you call in, you might get to come in the studio with us. Of course, that might be a bad thing too. But we'd like to welcome everybody. Army veteran. Micro farmer, the Dos Equis most interesting man in the world, Jason Schumacher, otherwise known as Shu, or today he is now known as Lord Shu, and I'll let him explain why.
Pretty simple Christmas gift from the in-laws. So
they bought you a castle?
No, 2 square feet, one for me and one for my wife in Scotland. So
You got 2 square feet of property in Scotland.
Correct.
You don't know where it is.
Correct.
You don't know what part of the country it's in.
Correct.
But you know that it is 24 by 24 piece of property that belongs to you.
They may not even be together.
And they may not be. Maybe in disparate parts of the country.
Right.
Right. And so because you now own these 2 square feet, you have assumed the title of Lord Shu.
Correct.
And Leah is now Lady Leah. Leah is Shu's wife. So that's most excellent, man.
Now, Shu, I know you're kind of builder extraordinaire, contractor, do all kinds of stuff. What do you plan on building on this property?
Yeah.
I might have to steal some of my son's Legos and just.
That's right.
Is it going to be a house on stilts?
Yeah.
It would be one pole with, that'd be a lot to do.
Yeah, you could just put a pole on it,
yeah.
stand in the middle of it, and then yell at people going,
Right.
"Get off my land!"
Now, before our show started here, we were discussing your name, Schumacher. That's kind of like not Scottish.
Not
No.
at all. I am half German, half Irish.
So are we starting an invasion? Are you planning to go visit?
I doubt it severely because you never know, especially with the way things are right now. Oh, man.
That's awesome.
That'd be a tough one.
Yeah.
Well, hey, look, man, you did call the fat line. You had actually a really good message to leave on the fat line. So
Thank you.
please, just tell us what your tidbit was that you left on the answering service for us.
The tidbit basically was, bringing up, the VA rating system and their disability system, that there are actually presumptive conditions that they have.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, based off of different eras, different wars, where people served. You can get on the VA website and find out all this information. And I don't want to speak too direct about it because.
Right. So what he's saying is that, and this is what I hear you saying, is that let's say you served in Panama, right? And then so the VA knows you served in Panama, and you haven't ever told anybody about how you're feeling or what's going on, and you go in, you got a DD-214 that says Panama, the doc will go, hey, because you served in Panama, we presume that you could have been exposed to this certain thing.
So yes, so you don't have to go
it.
through the regular
You don't have to-
rigmarole of
Proving it.
Yeah.
Correct. Oh, that's really cool.
So a big one would be Agent Orange. you
right.
know.
Sure.
Or
Yeah.
sort of like the burn pit registry
Burn pit
for
registry.
those that served
Yep.
in Iraq and
Correct.
Afghanistan.
Exactly. Yeah.
The hearing stuff now with the
What?
bad earplugs.
What?
You know, Jason, I know over the years we've had a lot of conversations, and you've been a longtime supporter of Purple Heart Homes, been on our team, and continue to serve and help veterans in a great passion. So first of all, I want to say thank you for that. But you know, there's a interesting question that we had discussed here a while back, kind of relates to the VA and your comments today, and kind of what is the rate that veterans apply to the VA for disability status and service and support. And that rate is ever changing, and the reality is a lot of our older veterans didn't apply.
Exactly, yeah.
They might have felt like they needed to just take care of themselves. Maybe they felt like, you know, the country didn't support them, you know, coming home as a soldier, Marine, or sailor, or airman, and therefore they didn't want anything to do with the VA. But we would really encourage folks to you know, if you have a disability, you know, and you need that support, to go apply to the VA. It's changed a lot over the last
Definitely has.
decade,
Yes,
and
I bet
really
you know
doing
the
some great
percentage
things.
number because you love numbers so much. It's
You,
your love language.
you know, Chap, I would say
Come on,
that,
you know it.
that Vietnam represents 43%
I
of
knew
our
you
total
knew it.
veteran
I knew you
population, and
knew
only
it.
about
Right.
60% of those veterans have enrolled into the
All
VA.
right, everybody,
There's a
fact
great
check
need.
him. Fact check
Great
him.
need out there.
So,
And if I'm wrong, call the fat line and
Right,
let
that's
Brad
right.
know
There
so
you
he can
go.
harass me.
Yeah.
So today's kind of an important day in history. We got a lot to discuss here. We got a great guest with us, and excited to talk about some of the program stuff we've been working on for a couple years now. But I tell you, it's really also kind of, as a nation, I think we're all in a little bit of state of mourning. I want to draw out some facts and information. As we all know, actress Betty White passed away on the 31st of
She's
December.
something else, man.
What an awesome and phenomenal lady. But I think probably a lot of our listeners didn't know that she actually served during World War II as a member of the American Women's Volunteer Service. And during that time, she had been working in theater, on radio, and as a model, but she kind of stopped all of that stuff and followed, you know, her own ambitions. But she stopped some of that stuff to devote her time to delivering supplies with a PX truck, and with that she was also helping to stage grand send-offs for soldiers that were shipping out.
They were called waves.
Yeah, what a
Yeah.
phenomenal story, and,
Yeah.
and a great history there. 99 years old, and so you know, we just want to honor her and
Yeah,
just
that's
thank
really
her
cool.
for her service. And
She would have been 100 years old like this week, I think. Right. Yeah.
Yep.
Some
Yep.
point.
You know,
That's pretty-
it's
yeah.
interesting. I found a quote that, and so many quotes out there from Betty White, but I thought this was interesting and still applicable to the times today. She said, telling a Cleveland magazine, "It was a strange time and out of balance with everything." I think that's kind of how we feel today, you know, really with everything that's going on in history. But so January 6th, really important day in our history. We're not going to talk about January 6th, 2021, but rather other things that happened in history on January the 6th. And so, Chap, what do we got in there?
1919, Teddy Roosevelt, 26th President of the United States, died in Oyster Bay, New York at the age of 60. I'm thinking he died of some complications of some things that he got, because that dude was like an adventurer, man. He was everywhere.
Yeah,
like
San
Juan
Juan
Hill and
Yeah.
Panama, and you know, of course, the Panama Canal. Really unique guy. And I've actually been to out in Montana. His family still owns like some like Yellowstone property out there. If you've seen that show, they've got hundreds of thousands
I think
of acres
maybe even
out
in
there.
the Dakotas there's some family
Yeah, it could
property
be.
there
Yeah,
as
but
well
it's
still.
it's absolutely amazing. So.
So in 1920, really cool, notable fact of history.
Yep, the Yankees bought Babe Ruth from the Boston Red Sox.
Got to be one of the greatest
And-
baseball players ever.
Right, and then too, it's also was like the curse of the Bambino, right? They
Yeah.
came because for years and years the Red Sox couldn't win a World Series. They've since done that, but they called it the curse of the Bambino when they got rid of Babe Ruth. Back
Really
in
cool.
1920.
Years ago, back in New York, I got to on a train ride meet one of his family members.
Babe Ruth.
Yeah,
No
and
kidding.
give us an autographed. Of course, it was just her autograph of a picture of Babe Ruth. I thought that was kind
That'd
of
have been
neat.
crazy if you'd have met
Yeah,
him.
Oh, well,
Yeah, right.
I'd probably be dead right now, but yeah,
Right.
yeah, you're right. Yeah. And so today's also kind of an important day, more along the line of our religions and
Yep,
what
it's
we
Epiphany
celebrate.
today, right? It's also known as Three Kings Day or the Day of the Magi. Christmas, little known fact that people don't realize, Christmas, 12 days of Christmas goes from Christmas Eve until January the 5th, and then January the 6th is the Day of the Magi, where we celebrate the Magi coming to bring gifts to the
Now,
to
wait a
the
minute.
Lord
Wait a
Jesus.
minute. The 12 days of Christmas, my kids have been telling me that they get to open a gift for 12 days leading up to Christmas. You're
Well,
saying that
they
they've been
have
tricking me? It's all
bamboozled
been
you, my friend.
It's all backwards?
Yep, you
Oh,
have
my
been
gosh.
taken advantage of.
Cannot
again
wait to go see them.
by your kids.
And so also today is the World Day of War Orphans.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of interesting day to celebrate, but lots of need all around the world where men and women have fought in wars and paid the ultimate sacrifice, and then their children become orphans.
Well, and also, too, orphans that are produced by war, right, where civilian casualties happen, and you have children left on the battlefield that need help. And there's a nonprofit out of France that helps with that. And so today is World Orphan Day.
I
of
say
War
truly, some of the worst and horrific sights of being in combat was seeing children that were either injured or killed or holding their loved ones on the battlefield, and those are sights that you just
I
can't get out of
visited
your
an
mind.
orphanage that was actually funded by these folks when I was in Iraq, and all of the children had been wounded by unexploded ordnance. They were all the kids were missing limbs and arms, and we brought them toys. It was pretty cool to be able to do that.
So speaking of supporting kids, families, military, the injustices of the world, we got a really interesting guest today. Somebody's been serving families that have been in need for over 23 years now. Michele Knapp, Executive Director of Fifth Street Ministries here in Iredell County, and a part of the continuum of care service providers here in the community. And so, Michele, welcome.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you on. And your hair is in honor of Purple Heart Homes today.
This
That's
is just for you
fantastic.
today.
That's awesome. Yeah, that is fantastic. Thanks for
I
being
think
here.
she also said it was her daughter's favorite color.
Okay,
I'm
well,
not real sure.
Yeah, well,
It might be
yeah.
multi-purpose, multicolor for
We just-
multi-purpose.
We
Right.
just seized that opportunity for a shameless plug right there.
I
so.
like it. I like
Yeah.
it. So, Michele, tell us a little bit about the programs Fifth Street offers.
Okay, so Fifth Street has several different programs that we offer. We have a homeless shelter, which is open to men, women, children. We do not turn anyone away. And we have a battered women's shelter as well, which offers services to victims of domestic violence and sexual assault. So we provide counseling, court advocacy, shelter, all of that for victims of domestic violence and sexual assault. We have our Veterans Transitional Housing Program, which is a house that houses 5 veterans, and they start in our homeless shelter. And then we transition them over to the Veterans Transitional Housing Program. And so that program can last up to 2 years, gets them, provides life skill training, teaches them how to cook and, on a budget, clean and shop and that sort of thing, and that preparing them to be ready to live on their own in a permanent situation.
What an amazing program.
So at this point, this program has been in operation since 2016, and so we have a 94% success rate in that, in getting people from transition to.
So 94% of the veterans that come through there don't come back.
Yes, correct,
Yeah.
correct.
Wow. That's awesome.
And so we've placed them in a permanent setting, and everybody's permanent setting is different, whether they're living with family permanently, or they live in assisted living, or living on their own and working, getting disability or whatnot. Every journey is different.
That's amazing. And so do you have a veteran that's had an impact on you, a story you'd like to share about somebody? I know 94% success rate, there's got to be a few in there that just touch your heart.
There are many that have crossed my path or our paths over the many years that I've been with Fifth Street. We have a particular veteran now that we are serving that is an amazing person. He's come in. He had some rough times. He is currently living in the Veterans House, and he is also working at Fifth Street. So
No kidding.
we are providing him income, a job, some experience. training, and then also helping him with case management and life skills to get him permanently placed into housing. He's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it probably means a lot to a veteran just to have a little bit of purpose, to be able to help serve others.
And that's exactly what
Yeah.
he says. He feels like he is fulfilling a purpose here at Fifth Street, and he really is. I mean, it's almost more for us than it is for him.
Yeah.
Because I love having him around. He has such insight and such personality, and he's wonderful. He is definitely one of the first ones I'd love to talk about putting into a tiny home.
Speaking of tiny homes.
Speaking of that.
Sorry, I transitioned right
No,
into
that was
that.
a beautiful transition.
Perfect.
You're hired.
So for our listeners, Purple Heart Homes has been working with Fifth Street and a couple other charities to be able to come together and provide a kind of the next step of living for more of a permanent type placement for veterans coming out of the transitional shelter. And with that, we recognize that you are a part of the continuum of care. And I'm going to ask you to tell a little bit about that, but also understand that continuum of care partners are all around the country, all around our states. And they're an opportunity for organizations to partner together to be able to extend these benefits that maybe just one organization can't provide all of it, right? But when we come together, we can do a lot more together. Share a little bit about that.
We are part of Region 4 of the Continuum of Care in North Carolina, which is part of the Balance of State. It's a little confusing, but our region covers Iredell County, Yadkin, Surrey, Stokes, and Davie. So we provide services in all 5 counties. Most likely shelter resident, people that need shelter would need to come to Iredell County. Unfortunately, we do not have a shelter in the other areas, but we do provide other services in the areas. We are doing street outreach. We are doing rapid rehousing programming in other areas of our 5 counties. So we meet monthly with other service providers in these 5 counties, and we do case conferencing. We talk about difficult cases and how each agency can help this person get them on the track of housing and services that they may need. So we really work together for the perfect end goal for individuals. So I love the continuum of care. It's a great. I'm glad that we're a part of it, and we'll be continuing to do that for many years.
And so this past week we hauled out 2 tiny houses.
We did.
And you were telling us on the way in that the foundations are going up.
So they poured the footers last week, and so I walked out to come here this morning, and they are building the foundation. So I'm so excited. It's so excited to see that progress. Patty West, who was my predecessor at Fifth Street, that was one of her goals, was to do tiny homes. And so it is just great to see
Patty
that.
Has Patty come by to see it?
I do not believe she has come by to see it yet. So we're going to have the opening celebration on the 25th, and so she will be one of our honored guests. But I know she is so excited about this, and I'm excited about going even further beyond these first 2 homes.
Put out a shameless plug here for our event on the 25th. We're asking folks to come out and join us in celebrating with this ribbon cutting, mission complete ceremony, where we are going to unveil these 2 homes, and with that, we just ask you to bring some canned food and some support for the shelter, that you can help in that. Through the holidays, a lot of those supplies are kind of run a little low after you're feeding so many people. It's in the winter season, so we just ask people to come out and help support the local shelter and be able to provide and engage and get to know a little bit more about what you all do.
So I got a question. So after we do the mission complete, what do you when do you think someone will be occupying the home?
So our goal is February 1st.
Okay.
Now, that's as long as everything lines up with the weather and getting contractors and supplies in place, and then the furnishings and things. But the goal is February 1st. And we are going to start with 2 veterans that are in our transitional veterans program, and we will offer them.
That's incredible, because we were literally just like having our first meetings about this back in November.
Not really. I was going through some of my email here last couple of days. First every year I go through and clean out all my old email, and I found a email with Patty West from 4 years ago where we were talking about building these tiny homes. And it's taken us a long time. It's been a long struggle to get here. We're really glad to be bringing it to fruition. But I would also like to say say that there's still, you mentioned furniture. So we've been doing some fundraising where about 90% of our goal has been met, but we still got that last little bit that's going to help us with furnishing. And so if listeners would find it in their heart and just consider a donation, you can either do that through Fifth Street Ministries or you can do that through Purple Heart Homes. Just identify and tag the donation to go through to the tiny homes for Fifth Street, and we'll be happy to plug that in and get that support there. And so
yes,
thank you for that reminder.
Yeah, that is really cool. February 1st, that'll be fantastic to have somebody living in those things. So they're 320 square feet. They have a fully accessible ADA bathroom, a bedroom big enough to put a queen size bed in if you stretch it, and then kind of a kitchen living area with all the accoutrement that you need. And we actually we put in we've been putting in little Purple Heart Homes flags hanging on the wall and an American flag when the veterans come in. So. This is pretty neat. So thank you all for partnering with us.
And we have identified 2 veterans we would like to start with,
and awesome.
Already had that discussion with them, and both of them are very excited. And we are excited as well. They'll be right there at the shelter to provide all the case management. They can come over and socialize as well during meal times and things, and they'll just be right there. And I love that location. I love that we're going to have that
That's
right
awesome.
at the shelter.
And our greater hope is that we'll be able to expand this to surrounding counties, to even surrounding regions of the Continuum of Care Partners, where other shelters may take this model and duplicate it in their areas as well, so that we can make sure that all our veterans have a safe, accessible place to call home. And so, Michele, as we start to wrap up, how about sharing some other ways that people can get involved and support Fifth Street?
Well, we are always looking for volunteers. So we serve 3 meals a day, 365 days a year. So we are there on Christmas Day as well, and Thanksgiving Day. And so you can come in and volunteer and help in our kitchen. You can bring food. You can just help serve. We also have lots of donations that need to be sorted. We need help with that. Transportation is a big thing that we need help with a lot. So on our website at fifthstreetministries.com, there is a volunteer tab that you can sign up to do volunteer work, and there's plenty of opportunity.
That is great.
Yeah, if you're watching on Facebook, we'll have our team put the website in the show description. So thank you, Michele, for coming and hanging out with us today.
Well, I'm glad you had me.
We love hanging out with you.
Had a good time.
And for your many years of service into our community and all those folks that are in need. Again, there's so many different ways that veterans and the community at large just need support, need help, and it takes a village. It takes all of us to be a part of putting those pieces back together, and that's what the show's all about. It's helping the community understand how we all play an active role in being able to help make someone whole so that they can live their best life, and we couldn't do it without great people like you. So thank
Incredible.
you.
Thank you.
So Chap, as I'm sitting here next to Lord Schumacher,
Lord Shoe.
I can't help but think, what do you do to one up a plot in Scotland to become a lord? I think I want to be nicknamed Yoda. I'm gonna go buy me a star when we leave here.
You're going to buy a star?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of I'm gonna go buy a star. I don't know that I've ever been able to put
you mean you're talking about
like
buy a star like out in space?
I don't
somewhere.
think I'll ever have a Hollywood star, but
right? Yeah, stranger things have happened. Yeah. So you're going to buy one at the Star Registry.
Yeah, do the star registry.
I'll tell you what.
Maybe we can navigate the land.
You just give me $500.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could just give me $500, and I'll point to a star up in the sky, and you can name it, and you'll have your.
Oh, I get to name it?
Yeah, you can if you just give me $500, the star's yours.
Lord John sounds so great.
You could be John of the Cosmos.
First Baron Ray John.
Yeah, something like that.
So again, thank you to our show sponsors, and we just really appreciate you all. Hope you've enjoyed listening to this week's
We do have a
show.
great show coming next week, and if I can teach John how to read a question mark and figure all that out.
I thought you said it was a shepherd's hook, and
it
that
was
stood
not a
for
shepherd's hook.
chaplain.
It was a question mark because we didn't know whether our guest for next week has responded. So more to follow on that. God bless you all. Happy New Year.
Happy New
You've been listening to Putting the Pieces Back Together with John Galena and Brad Borders. Join us again next Thursday at 8 a.m. and 6:30 p.m. for Putting the Pieces Back Together on News Talk WSIC.